First, I've got to thank James for being so gracious about my weird scheduling. Actually, really, because we talked about this, and I would either I had to teach more than my share of classes today, and I didn't want to miss that. I love these events, and I love being with y'all, and he was nice enough to work the schedule around so that I could do like a drive-by reading here, and I really appreciate that. Well, I was working with the idea that the theme of what you all were doing was sort of a post-Valentine sincere feeling thing, and somebody said to me, Tony, you're so silly and sarcastic and cynical. Maybe people would appreciate it if for a change you'd write something sincere and, you know, direct. And I thought about whether I could do that and came up with this poem, which I think is sincere and heartfelt and direct. And it's unashamedly a simple love poem. And I don't have a title for it yet, but the working title is, the first line, I just stood there and watched the cow walk away. I just stood there and watched the cow walk away, and I wasn't surprised. She had finished eating the hay I'd set out and gone back to join the herd in the pasture. It was when I went back in the house I found a note from my girlfriend saying she had left me some waffles and sausages in the fridge. After breakfast, I checked the answering machine and heard her voice saying she wouldn't be coming back until later. Because her car had a flat tire, she was going to get it fixed and be back soon, even if it rained. It figures, I thought. You just can't count on women letting something like the weather stop them from what they want to do. Well, I thought to myself, she won't find me here when she gets back, unless I get into town and back home quick enough. So while I was getting dressed, I looked down at the rolled up socks I'd stuffed in my drawers and thought, how funny the woman can be impressed by something like that. A man who keeps his clothes organized. When I got to town, I pulled into the parking lot and looked around to make sure no one had seen me run into the curb. That'd just be embarrassing. And the restaurant was crowded, so I slid into the bar to see if I could find one of the hookers. We've known Bob and Emily Hooker for years, and I was supposed to meet them for dinner. I was a bit early, so I sat at the bar and ordered a beer and cried out, hey, Bob, Emily, when I saw them come in. As I greeted Emily, I smiled and my eyes wandered down to her hands holding the ring box she'd picked up for me from the jeweler. Thanks, I said. I'm sure this will make her throw up. Her hands enjoy. After dinner, I went home to hide any evidence of dirty dishes in the sink from earlier. And waiting, I couldn't help but think about that ugly face on the clock, reminding me how slow time moves sometimes. Finally, she walked in the door, and I picked up a knife to cut the cake I'd set on the table along with the champagne. I said to her, you shouldn't have come back in a rush in this kind of weather. I worry about you because I love you. She said, nothing and no one could make me love you any more than I already do. We had our cake and champagne and embraced, and all I could think was, she smells really good. Then looking at her face, I couldn't stand it anymore, so I gave her the old 1, 2, 3, open your eyes, honey, and I showed her the ring. I said, I just can't stand another day with you, not by my side. Will you marry me? And she said, no way in hell would I say no to you. And they lived happily ever after, and it was nice while it lasted, the end.